And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And I thank you for tuning in today. I hope you're having a great day out there. Again, we're working on your financial freedom. We're going to talk about real estate investing, and we're going to talk about options today. I think you'll be surprised at some of the options you can create in your life as a real estate investor. And if you have any questions, you can send those to me at askandy@luinc.com. I know some of these shows get you thinking, generate some curious questions. You send those my way. I'm happy to answer those. Again, askandy@luinc.com. And if you're a regular listener, you may have caught a recent show. I mentioned during the course of that show that we were under contract to buy another single-family rental house. If you're new to the show, I'm an investor primarily in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been a member at Lifestyles Unlimited 12 years now, and we've been buying single-family houses all that time. We're also investing passively in apartments, but we're still looking for more houses, right? We've shifted around a little bit, focus here, apartments, focus on houses, doing a little of both. And we found one. We said, hey, this looks like a good one. Needed a ton of work. Just looking at you could tell from the pictures, pier and beam house, bottom was just gone. You can see dirt. And that's okay if you budget effectively. And this one was listed on the MLS. This was on market. And when I find those on market and it looks to me like there's quite a lot of work, and quite a lot of work's okay for me, then we're going to submit an offer and we're going to write that offer with an option. So we paid a couple $100. In our case, we offered a 5-day option period to get out and explore this thing. Wrote the contract, sight unseen. We're fairly experienced. You may not want to do that, but we're comfortable doing that. Had our inspector out there, met him in fact, and realized when we got out there, got some of his feedback that yeah, this is not quite going to work. Certainly not at the price point we offered at. And in fact, I don't think that they're not going to want to hear the price point we have in mind after this. So we exercised that option. That option to exit the contract. Was it worth a couple $100? Absolutely it was. I love having options. I love having choices. I love having flexibility. Now, I don't mean in this case just in a real estate transaction like I was just describing to you, but here I'm thinking more broadly in life. And if you build, like we have done over the past decade plus, if you build a portfolio of cash flowing, equity-rich properties, they do that for you. They give you options. They give you choices. Although you might think, man, you self-manage, right? Yes, I do. Managing a double-digit portfolio of houses, that seems like that's going to slow you down, take away from your flexibility, but actually it goes the other direction. I'm much more flexible as a result of that very financial freedom that we talk about on the show. And I was reminded once again of our options as real estate investors because I went out just this past weekend and attended the 2-day financial freedom seminar. And again, if you're new to the program, you don't know what that is. I'll describe this just briefly. It's an educational session, 2 days on the weekend, in this case, Saturday and Sunday, 16 hours, 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday. The first day we go into mindset, right? I was in the audience. I was in attendance as a guest, refreshing. Yeah, I've been doing this for years, but I like to get a refresher, see what's new in the market. And we learned as well about single family, which is what I'm focused on at the moment. And then on the next day, 8 hours shifted into apartments, multifamily, also investing there. So a good 2 days for me, even after a dozen years, to go back and get a refresher. I like to do this annually. I know members that do it regularly. There was a gentleman in attendance, David. He'd come back after, 6 or 7 years, I think he told me. He said, it's time for a refresher. So if you're a member, I encourage you to do that. If you're not a member, this is a really good place to go and start to put these things into play that we talk about that help you build the very options that I'm going to tell you about today. And also, while I was there, it's a great opportunity for me as an investor to network. I met an investor there that In fact, I met her, I don't know, it's been a few months now. And at the time when I first met her, she had bought her very first property over in Tennessee. And this is an investor like I am that's based out of Dallas-Fort Worth, does not live in Tennessee, used the Lifestyles Network to pick up this one house. Well, fast forward a couple of months. Now she's not in one, not two, not three, but in 5 houses in the part of Tennessee that I'm also looking at. So is that good for me to have a conversation with her? Absolutely. Absolutely. Great opportunity. And we were there for a couple days. Went to lunch. Sometimes we'll go to dinner afterwards. Good to hear about their experiences, contractors, realtors, all that stuff. And it's very inspiring as well. The presenters, they have great stories. They've been teaching this for a while, and they've been doing all the things we do, investing as single-family rental owners, passively in apartments, actively in apartments. Some have done their own independent deals as apartment investors. And when they give and relate those stories, it's very, very inspiring to me as somebody, again, that's been doing this for a while, to do better and to do more. And perhaps to think about, sometimes we get complacent, and that refresher helps get us moving again, to think about maybe exercising a few of the options that we have in place in our portfolio because of what we've built over the years. Think about your current situation, and we need that as kind of let's say a baseline to which we can compare as we then build the rest of the show. But you've got someone around you, and you've got things going on, you've got a job, and if something big happens in your life, are you able to quickly pivot? And a lot of people out there really can't. Not usually. You can really go to the mat and get out of that job to get that time to take care of something, but there goes the financial side of things, because you've got bills to pay, you've got debt to service, and with no income, you're in trouble. So you're really tethered to your job. That's a last resort option. Are you able to drop everything to help a friend in need or family? Or maybe thinking from the funner perspective, are you able to easily go on vacation when you want? You see that great airfare discount, you get that opportunity. Can you drop everything and go? Probably not. You don't really have many options from the time nor the financial perspective. Now, we talk a lot on the show about the conventional wisdom path, which ultimately is going to take you from elementary up to high school and into college. And education is a good thing. It creates options. That's why you go to college, and that's why you encourage your children to go to college and your grandkids. And that is a common belief that it creates options. And that's true. That's true to some extent. And for many, that is a good place to start. But, and there is a but, you go down that conventional wisdom path and you wind up stuck there. And that's the problem. You wind up stuck there because you did go to college and you got that college debt. You have to service those student loans, which has created a financial trap for you, and you've trapped yourself now in that job. And because you're trapped, you find all options evaporating. You're losing options because you've corralled yourself into that position. What options do you see now? How do you gain more time, like we're talking about, or maybe create more financial resources? Well, wait, Andy, over enough years, those COLA, that cost of living increase that the corporation gives us that may or may not offset the increase in health premium. That's what I experienced. Every year that we got that 2 or 3% increase, well, our health insurance coverage went up by that same amount, that same percentage. But yeah, hey, Andy, those are going to trickle in. And hey, eventually you might accrue another few days of vacation, right? That's going to happen with tenure in a lot of situations. Or maybe you grapple for the next rung on the corporate ladder, right? Try to climb a little higher. You might see a pay jump with that, but, added responsibility, which leads to less time, maybe some higher pay, but less time and more stress. And then you shift from hourly to salary, and they have you where they want you. Your effective hourly rate goes down because now you're working not just 40, but 50, 60, 70 hours and more. Now, another option, you might change jobs, jump from company to company, probably in the same industry. And you may see a big jump in pay at that point, but that process just starts over. And you're effectively still trapped. So just what do you do? What did I do? What What do thousands of members at Lifestyles Unlimited do every year? We break away from that very model altogether. And it may not be all at once. This will take it may take a period of time. In fact, you'll hear us talk about retire in 5 years or less. Maybe that's your deadline. That's your goal. But again, sitting in that 2-day financial freedom seminar, listening to the presenter, I believe he said it was 3 years and 3 months, something like that for him. I know another presenter that comes out and teaches here in Dallas from time to time as well, 2 years. My wife, she did it in 3 years, right? So you can see there's somewhere in there, 0, let's say, to 5 years. But thousands of members at Lifestyles Unlimited have done this. They've made this shift. And at this point, what I want to do, we've got your baseline. If you thought about this, like I asked, that's our baseline for comparison. I want to tell you a little bit, especially if you're new, about what we do at Lifestyles Unlimited, what the model is that we follow with respect to real estate investing, because this will also serve as a basis then for the onward discussion. So you need to understand the model. And whether you have any experience in real estate at all or none, which was my situation, my wife's situation when we joined, we were renting an apartment. We had bought a house once years ago, personal house, sold it. That was the extent of it. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we teach you the nuts and the bolts. We teach you the how-to, right? The processes that go behind, whether it's buying a single-family rental house, a duplex, triplex, quad, or anything from 5 units up to 500. Yeah, we teach that level of apartment investing. But I want you to understand the model. And I'm going to take a single-family house because, again, that's what I'm focused on right now. And a lot of people start there. You go out and you listen to what we teach, you go out and you find a distressed asset. Typically distressed is going to mean either the seller is distressed or the asset, the house, is distressed, meaning it needs work, right? Like the one I went and looked at, pier and beam, no floors. It can be cured, right? Time and money can cure any of these problems, but we teach you what to look for and how that all comes together. But you're going to find this distressed asset, and because it's distressed or the seller's distressed, you get it at a discount. And because of that discount, throughout the process, you're going to renovate that house. You're going to find a renter. You're going to put somebody into place that's going to pay that rent every month. And you've created equity capture on the outset because of that discount you got. You're able to, here's an example, by the way. I've got one right here in front of me. Where is this? This is in Georgia. Purchase price, $105,000. When it's fixed up, it's worth $220,000. So you can see this is less than 50 cents on the dollar. I don't have the rehab amount in here, but let's say it's $50K. Right? You can see there's a spread between what we're buying it for, what we're doing in terms of the work, and the value when we're done. That's equity capture. That can be a really big number. In this case, it's $42,000. I'll only have about $18,000 in this particular property on top of the 42. I'm sitting on a $60,000 equity position. Big numbers. But I'm going to rent it out when I'm done with the rehab and collect the rent every month, and I'm going to have cash flow. And I'm going to hold on to this for a handful of years, and I'm going to watch that equity build because we do see appreciation. It was huge a decade ago, last half of the last decade. It's moderated in a lot of markets, but it will be there. And we're going to watch as our resident pays down that mortgage. So our equity is going to continue to build. And through that, we create a lot of options. And if you buy one house, you have a lot of options already. If you've bought 10, those options multiply. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Well, one thing it has meant for us, and we have to compliment you, you've given us our time back. And I say our time because we got married 33 years ago, and we got married in July. Do you know why? Well, that was before I met Lifestyles. I used to work for Ford Motor Company. And with Ford Motor Company, I was in the automotive division. They have shut down during July, the first 2 weeks of July. So
you had to wait for a shutdown to get married?
Yes.
Yes, he actually.
Whoa, that's dedication there.
He made me change our wedding date. It was supposed to be June 15th, and I changed.
Wow, that's amazing.
So if I had been in Lifestyle, I could have gotten married when I wanted to.
And the ring would have been bigger.
Thank you.
Ready to get your time back like Vivian and Cornell? Register for the free online workshop at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the show. This is Andy Webb. I thank you for tuning in today. I'm going to throw out my email one more time. If you have any questions, you can send me a mail to askandy@luinc.com. And on today's show, we're talking about options. And I named a few types of options that we create as real estate investors. You build time options around your time. And then you build financial options. These things kind of go hand in hand. And the two of those combine at some point to create for you what I'll call life options. We'll get to those towards the end here. Because when I asked the question earlier, what options do you have? If you have to drop on a dime and go across the country to visit a sick elder or whatever the case may be, there is a way out. And I've done it. I've watched thousands of members at Lifestyles Unlimited do it as well. And the first option is around time, right? As you put houses into play. I described a moment ago a house this one was in Georgia. I told you it's about $18K out of pocket to create $42K in equity. But let's look at the cash flow. This thing is cash flowing it's projected to cash flow $220 a month. You might take that couple $100 and point it towards your utility bills. We call that cash flow chunking. You find a chunk of inbound cash and point it to a chunk of expenses. You buy another house, create another couple $100. I saw some recently that were cash flowing over $400. Right, that comes in, you point that towards your mortgage, maybe pick up another one, point that towards your mortgage, right? You've chunked that mortgage away. Passive income is coming in to take care of that. You'll find that you're starting to buy back your time, one chunk at a time. This is probably, of everything we're going to talk about today, I think this is the first and foremost thing that you need to think about and is probably the biggest option you're going to create. And it starts with your financial freedom. And we define that by building up this passive income such that you have enough coming in every month that it meets or better exceeds your monthly household expenses. If all of my household income or all of my household expenses are being covered by income from my rental houses, do I still need to be tethered to that job to sustain myself? No, I don't. No, I don't. Even better, if you are earning above your monthly expenses, in other words, not living paycheck to paycheck, your target should be to meet or exceed that income, that monthly income. And that's when you attain your financial freedom. And that's when that option comes. And a lot of people are encountered with this very question. Ooh, I don't have to cover my bills with my job any longer. I really don't need that boss any longer. And you have to decide then, do I exercise that time option and quit, leave the job, retire, however you want to phrase that, or not? A lot of people get to this point and they don't quite take action yet. Maybe they like what they do. I did not take action immediately. My wife did. She hated her job. I did not. Big difference there. So you may leave that stressful job like she had to do and could do in 3 years to do something better, to do something different, to follow your passions. Now she got bored. She got bored pretty quickly and found something she loves to do. A little part-time job. She's still doing that. Or you stick around like I did and you double the income, right? I've got that income. I've met my income from my passive income and I'm still working. Bam, bam. Things grow really, really fast if you select that option. But you're able to rest at ease. And I was able to rest at ease because I had that huge option that I could exercise at any time. Sayonara. I'm tired of this. I'm out of here. Interestingly, I took a kind of a middle road position a couple of years before I retired altogether. I said, we've got a son now. He's young. I'd get to see him a lot, but I'd like to see him more. I went to my boss. I said, hey, I've been thinking about this. I like what I'm doing. I want to keep doing it. She could see it coming. She's like, uh-oh, getting a little worried. I said, I'd like to go part-time. This is what I have in mind. What was her answer? Her answer was no. What was my reply? Because I had options. My reply was, hey, it's either 24 hours a week or it's 0. What would you like? So I worked part-time for a couple of years. I had the option. You put choices. You put things into place around your time. So that's the time option that you build and can exercise with real estate. But there's another scenario, another option scenario, let's call it. That first one comes with cash flow, right? You got to have the cash flow. The second one builds upon that equity that I mentioned and several equity plays that you can exercise, equity options, let's say. And again, going back to that house, if I bought that house, I'd have $18,000 out of my pocket into that investment, but I'd create on top of that 18, that's equity already, my 18 is equity, but on top of that, I'd have another 42 out of thin air. What can you do with 42,000? Take a look at your job. What are you netting right now? It may be close to that number, maybe double that number. Buy 2 of those houses. You've just replaced your income just by way of that equity capture. Is that not amazing? It really is. And people do this every day, all day. We see a lot. I can't tell you how many of these these house leads I have coming into my email right now. But let's talk about financial options, because the time option takes us now to the financial options. And let's say you just bought that one house and you created a significant amount of equity at the outset. Again, that's the equity capture. And then you go on to hold it for a few years and your equity builds up through mortgage paydown and appreciation. And then you come to a crossroads. Well, I've got this house, I've got this ton of equity sitting there. You have several options. You can, ceteris paribus, just everything's the same, keep on holding. Not going to do anything different. Keep collecting that rent. That is an option. One thing we've done, cash out refi. Reset that debt, tap into that equity, redeploy it. Another option is to sell. And a lot of people will trade into more houses. That's what I know. That's what I'm comfortable doing. Other people, and this is a great way to go, people that don't have the capital to get into apartments when they begin will build that equity by doing what we're talking about and then trade up into apartments. Here's an interesting option. We talked about this again at that 2-day. Think about this. You own your own house and you're ready to sell. You live in that house. What do? You go out, you talk to a realtor. Realtor says, well, we're going to write a listing agent agreement. It's going to cost you 6%, 3% to me, 3% to the buyer's agent. Yeah, I know there are lawsuits out there around this, so we'll see where that lands, but 6% off the top, plus transaction, plus holding while you're waiting, all these things. But I, as a rental owner, let's say I want to go and sell one of my rental properties. I have an option that you do not. I have people in place, and I get this question quite frequently from my residents. Hey, are you interested in selling the house? Can I buy it? And for years I said no, but we want to go that route now. Got the question just recently. It's a unique scenario, sell to your resident. And I got a lot of great tips at the 2-day seminar from the presenter because he's done this a number of times with his single family portfolio over the years. I needed to hear what he had to say. If they're interested in following the American dream and becoming a homeowner, and they love the house, that's why they're moving in, because we do a great job on our rehabs. Best product, best price, gets the best people. And those best people, they do ultimately want to find a home of their own. Gives you a wonderful option to exit the property without dealing with that realtor, without who knows how long on the market, and lower transaction costs. Greater options and greater flexibility in the process, the sales process. And you own the house. You set the parameters. You control the timeline better than if you put it on that open market. So again, my wife and I, we're in this spot now. We are in discussions, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes if or when we get to the finish line. Great option. And something else I talked about with members at the 2-day, again, going back to the member that's buying in Tennessee from Dallas. Here's another thing that you do when you go down this path. You create a very, very flexible skill set. This investor that's buying in Tennessee from Dallas, let's say something turns in the Tennessee market, prices get too high, whatever. And South Carolina, Columbia, Spartanburg, South Carolina, we have realty team there, by the way. Let's say that starts to look a little more attractive. Or maybe North Carolina, we have realty team there, or parts of Georgia. This investor now has a skill set that has enabled them to invest from afar, not in one, but in so far 5 houses in Tennessee. Do you think she can shift and replicate that now anywhere in the U.S.? Absolutely. I was talking with her about this. It's a good skill set to have when I'm working on myself. It creates the option to simply move to other states, possibly more lucrative states as the market shifts. And the market does move. The market does change. Everything in real estate is local. So all the things I can do now as an investor in Dallas-Fort Worth, if I put this skill set, I get this skill set, I can do anywhere that it makes sense. Live where you want, invest where it makes sense. We have investors, members at Lifestyles Unlimited in Canada and in Australia come to mind, buying in the U.S., investing in the U.S. We have investors I've talked on this show, I've interviewed on this show from Colorado and Kentucky, buying in Houston, Makes more sense for them. Investors in Austin. Austin is an overheated market. Austin is on fire, was on fire. That's cooled off a bit, but they're buying elsewhere in Texas and across the country. Investors in California buying in Kansas City. Actually, this is a great thing because as you get to know the people in this network, even if you're not rubbing shoulders with them at the case study, you maybe see them on a Zoom call. You meet them at the expo, right? The Wealth and Passive Income Expo. That's going to be coming up later. You start to have conversations. And I know Steve's in San Diego, buying in Kansas City. We had a call. We talked about the market. He shared his knowledge because he's been investing there for a few years. So you can work together, build up your pool of resources, your knowledge base, and this is going to help you exercise those options that we're talking about more effectively because you're not going in there alone. And of course, if you're working with the Lifestyles Realty team, working with the mentors, etc., you're not alone anyhow. But boy, this is just added resources. And by the way, I'm getting leads. I mentioned this one in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Missouri, Kansas, Arizona, Tennessee. May have left out a few. I don't know. We're all across the nation, primarily in the Sun Belt right now. And it's not just the skills to invest across state lines. You're going to find yourself with other new skill sets as well. You may have some of these, you may not. And I don't mean learning how to use a miter saw to cut baseboards and a trim gun to install those baseboards and put the putty on and paint, etc. We don't do that. We teach you how to write a check and not wield a hammer. But rather, you're going to learn how to network. You may not be good at this. This is a skill set. You're going to learn how to analyze these investments. That is a skill set. Once you learn how to do it, you can replicate it. Doesn't matter if the house is next to me in Dallas-Fort Worth or across the country. You're going to learn how to manage your properties, whether locally or from afar, should you choose to. So you're going to build a lot of options. Cash flow is going to give you that time option. Equity is going to give you a lot of financial options with respect to your real estate. And these two things are going to flow together to give what I call life options. Now that you have financial freedom, you have control of your time. You have control of your finances. You have a ton of life options. Again, the sky is the limit here. And again, I think I said this a moment ago, daydream a little bit. What does that life look like compared to now? My wife and I, we choose to travel. That's our lifestyle right now at the moment. That's what we've built. We've got a guy that's 7, showing him the country, and we homeschool him. That's what we choose to do. Those are our life options. That's how we are building our lifestyle. Yours is going to look different. That's okay. We don't have to mirror everybody exactly in all the same ways. It's good to learn how to buy houses, fix them up. All our houses kind of look the same, but it doesn't mean our lifestyles have to. You can travel. You can just stay put, work on your community, do things with your favorite charity, your church, your grandkids. Those life options will present themselves because you've built options around your time and your finances. You've created passive income. You've created that financial freedom. And it starts by learning how to do that if you don't know how. I'd encourage you, first of all, go to our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. You can register for our free workshop. Or I've mentioned our 2-day financial freedom seminar a number of times throughout the show. I just went there, so it's fresh on my mind. Good website to check that out. Go to givemetotalfreedom.com. givemetotalfreedom.com. You can learn more there, register there, and get started. Create those options. You will learn to build those options. You will love it. You will create that freedom. Have a great day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.